Access to education is a fundamental human right. However, children with disabilities are often excluded and marginalized. They persistently face barriers to the enjoyment of their basic human rights and inclusion in education. In their education, the challenges are diverse, ranging from school infrastructure issues, learning materials, access, and the capacity of teachers. In this regard, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education has also joined the call to have all-inclusive disability policy framework within schools' environment.
It is my hope that will be as open as possible. I've been told that the object of this meeting is nothing else but to find out from those who are living with disabilities what it is that they wish to see happening or being provided by the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. We have problems that we may not notice about or being experienced by those who are living with disabilities. Is there someone coming from the Midlands province?
Yes.
Have you ever been to my office?
I came there, but unfortunately, I didn't manage to see.
Whether you saw me or not, what problem did you notice at that office?
I didn't find any problem.
You didn't find any problem, right? Now, when you get to our office, we are in the second floor. Is that okay?
Yes.
We are in the second floor, and for you to access my office, you must walk up the staircase.
Yes.
He did not see the problem because he was able to walk up the staircase. But look at your friend who is now with a wheelchair. He would want to, or she would want to talk to the PED. The PED is in second floor, and to access that, you have now to walk probably 10 kilometers, 10 meters.
In Zimbabwe, stakeholders in the education sector have embraced the clarion call of not leaving no one and no place behind, hence this drive towards inclusive policy of the sector.
Initially, I developed a passion for children with disabilities. So in order for them to come to school and be like everyone else and learn with comfort, I asked my team of administrators as well as the school development committee to make sure that every room in the school is accessible to people with disabilities. That is to include wheelchair-ridden learners, as well as those with other disabilities which make them be unable to move freely around the school. So if you happen to go to the school I'm referring to, you will find that there are ramps everywhere so that the children with disabilities, including me, can move with ease around the school.
Pandakazosvika kuKaroi, vakanditambira zvakanaka, ndikaenda paKaroi High. Though they were surprised, but handina kuona ma negative attitudes kuurongwe. Tiripo, there was this subject in Indindri, an English teacher, but they wanted to scratch Shona for A-level. Nekuti yaifoiwa. Then it took meeting ndo vanangoti chimodi paini try. Then I tried Shona. By then ndakadza Shona in English, but apapa Shona yanga kuitwa nemuchishona. Saka ndichidzidzisa vana ndichitodzidzawo kuti substantive ndochi, substantive phrase ndochi. Saka ndakatodzidza pamwe chete nevana. I had 6 learners by then. One akadona, vamwe vese vakapasa gore iroro. Then the meeting ikaziita ikati vekuenglish vakatanga kuti kwedu kwakuita short toita sei zvikanzi ava vachimbovasiyai vari ikoko mungangova pamwe 2 classes dzenglish ndobva ndaramba ndiriko. Then vakazoona kuti shuwa munhu uyu ari kuita sei ari kuziva.
Zita rangu ndinonzi Nyati Tawanda T, ndiri mudzidzisi wechirungu pachitandara secondary kuwachihota. So takakokwawo kuno kukwekwe paworkshop yakarongwa neministry yedu ye primary and secondary education, apo patiri kudrafta policy ingabatsira mudzidzisi anorarama, mudzidzisi ane urema. So ndo patiri panapa. Pari kutaugwa mapolisi akawanda tinofanira kuti tibude nawo, zvinosanganisira kuti tofanira kushandirawo panzvimbo dzakadii, zvinosanganisira zvakare vana vane urema kuti vanofanirawo kuita masports kaita sana goalball nemamwe kaita sana tug of war, avanokwanisawo kuitawo panoitwawo vamwe pazvinenge vichitoone those who are so called able bodied, kutosvikawo kuma-national kwete kuti vanongoitiswa pacluster level votonzi zvakwana. Takwanisa zvakare kutaura ma-challenges ataisangana nawo sematicha ane urema panguva dzatainge tatanga tichangopinda mabasa, panguva yokuti vanhu vepastation vanenge vasingakunzwisisi to the extent yokuti mamwe ma-teachers anotodongorera napawindo uchidzidzisa, kana kuti head unenge achishanda iwewe 2 weeks consecutive achingokushanda iwewe, achingouya ngoti nhasi ndiri muenzi wako. Asi chakazondinakidzawo ndechokuti varipo vanhu vemueducation vakuru vava kupruvha kuti tinokwanisa basa. Handinyari kutaura kuti somuenzaniso PD vekukwekwe vakafara chaizvo, vakataura kuti vadzidzisi vakaita sesu vane urema vava kuzviona kuti tiri kugona basa.
The ministry, in partnership with the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, is undertaking public consultation to gather views from stakeholders on the policy formulation that aligns with the principles of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Of educators with disabilities? What are the rights of learners with disabilities? What are the rights of staff? Let's not forget staff who are not educators. What are their rights within the workplace? And then, beyond the human rights approach, we are using the intersectional approach. The intersectional approach addresses 2 things. The intersection of different identity markers on a person. That means I am Dr. Peter, I have a disability, but that's not the only thing that I have. I just don't want to be identified with disability only because I'm a woman, I have a culture, I have a religion, my femininity is my gender, I have my intelligence, I have so many things that a person with disabilities sits on an intersection of identity markers. So in thinking about our policy, we need to bear in mind that persons with disabilities are not a homogeneous group. It's a minority group, yes, but there are minority groups within that minority group. So we also address issues of gender. And then I talked about the social model of disability, which addresses issues of the interaction of my body and the environment that I'm living and working in. What that means is my body is not the problem. The problem is becomes when my body begins to interact with the environment. That is what the social model of disability addresses.
The Department of Disability Affairs in the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare has been coordinating the policy frameworks underpinned by principles of integration and inclusiveness, seeks to eradicate discrimination and inequalities in all spheres of life and development, including in education and training.
2002 September 1, right? Like I said, my condition is diabetic induced. Until I lost my sight, right? So when I got to grade 7, to 2003, 2004. Problem I got in 2005. When I not diagnosed diabetes. So side down with the guy must not know. You can no longer take grade 7 because of your condition. Now so grade 5. There's no problem. But you know, brother, can all good them to go to Gutanga. Unongo Satuanaba a way you to Gashangasi. Unongo to the condition, right? So it takes a little bit of time to do the full adjustment. So if I'm not able to Ingwaga, I tell you. I think they do agree with me.
I'm Makino Chirinzepi, Director in the Office of the Special Advisor on National Disability Issues in the Office of the President and Cabinet. We have been having a workshop on coming up with a disability inclusive policy for the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. And I would like to greatly appreciate the unwavering political commitment that the Second Republic has towards the empowerment of persons with disabilities. I would also like to highlight that as Zimbabwe, we are moving in the right direction in terms of empowering persons with disabilities, courtesy to His Excellency Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, whose vision in the Second Republic of Zimbabwe is towards a prosperous and empowered upper middle income society. And he always says the mantra that we have to leave no one and no place behind. And hence, this workshop is another platform where we are seeing persons with disabilities within the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education being empowered to make sure that inclusive education becomes a reality. And not only for the learners with disabilities, but also for the teachers with disabilities across the whole nation. And here we had all the 10 provinces having come here to participate and perfect a policy where their concerns, interests and needs are addressed by that particular policy.
Workshop yati batsira zvikuru zvotinotofunga kuti hey dai yakauya kudhara pamwe zvaidaita kure, because it was just a good eye opener yakaita kuti tikwanise kuona zvimwe zvinhu, like the challenges that we face, how to deal with them, and the opportunities which lie out there in the government policies. Zvaita kunyatsokuona kuti Zimbabwe for sure it ranks high as far as the disability policies are concerned. Asi kuti challenge yanga iripo ndeyekuti vanhu vazhinji tisiri kuziva zvimwe zvinhu zviri at our disposal. Saka zvakafanana nema educational loans for persons with disabilities, saka zvinhu zvatinoona kuti zvikawedzera kuramba zvitwa cascaded downwards, vanhu vese vachita vachizviziva nekuti process yacho, projects, if they want to carry out projects, how do they go about it, zvinobatsira zvikuru kuti vanhu vane madisability vakwanise kusimudzirwa and be empowered. Then also tikatarisa nauye yekuwana mabasa chaiyo, vanhu vanenge vachiwana vane mikana yakawanda under the government policies, public service, kuti vane madisabilities vanowana 15% employment opportunity. Saka iri kutotadza kuti imitiwe because vanhu vakawanda vanenge pasina kutoita vanhu vakawanda va-apply, panotozosara pane shortfall pa 15% yacho. Saka zvinhu zvatiri kufarira kuti vanhu vane madisability vari kuwana ma-employment opportunity. And I'm a school head for Slovela High School, saka tinonzwa kufara also kuti katisangana nema-workshop akadaiwo we get empowered also tichiwedzera kuwana ruzivo rwemamwe ma-policies kuti what is the position of government regarding particular policies on the employment and working of persons with disabilities. Ma-offices ekuti kana ukaita challenge yakadai you have to approach this office. Saka zvino zvinowedzera kutiita empower nekutibatsirawo as we fight discrimination at workplaces.
Ndinoitwa Sopero Blessing, ndiri a lady ari visually impaired. I am a teacher mu resource unit yevana vari visually impaired. Ndinofara kutaura kuti ndiri visually impaired kudaro ndinotoriwo a leader kuchechi kwedu. Zvingoratidza kuti even ndine disability kuchechi vanotondionawo kuti ndiri somebody antori capable kutoleadawo vamwe vanhu. Saka zvinoratidza kuti people are accepting disability muno munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. Saka we thank everyone for kuti tose tikunzi ngatibatanei pakuti advocate for those with disabilities and make sure kuti mwana wese ane disability ari kuendeswa kuchikoro. So we thank for this workshop.
This workshop yatava nayo yatisimudzira, yativhurawo pane zvimwe zvatanga tisiri kuziva. Ndinoda kuvatenda vose. Zvakare nezvimwe zvavatidzidziso yavatipawo yatisimudzirawo. Ndinoda kutenda seni muchindoona ndinewo I'm a wheelchair user. Ndine zvakawandawo zvandadzidzawo ipapo uye ndinofanirawo kungovawo independence. Ndinofanira kuraramawo musociety ndichipindawo mune vamwewo tichisocializawo nevamwe so that hauzonyanye kuve isolated.
However, while this is commendable, people with disabilities expressed concern on discrimination and challenges they face, calling upon the government to create and strengthen opportunities, protection of rights, as well as promotion of access to information, education, and justice by persons with disabilities.
For promotion to the school head. So the response, the invitation response came to me around 4 p.m. on a Wednesday. And the response was, you are supposed to be at Marondera High at 8 a.m. The following day, it was Thursday, was interview yachona for heads yangairi in 2 forms. On Thursday, yangairi assessment, tefanonyora test, and then on Friday it was ita oral. So takataura ndofunga mese makazvinzwa, takati pamuri kuuya nhasi Thursday, tiri kuita written assessment. Iri pati interview. Saka takataura tikati munhu unouya nepencil, unouya nerubber, unouya nered pen, unouya necalculator neruler. Ndakabva ndakutopanika because I was in Norway nekuti zvese izvozvo zvasina kusvika kwandiri. Ndokubva vati right, pana nechekutaura here, vanhu muchipinda muhome zihori pamarondera hairi ari. Ndobva ndasimudza ruoko ndikataura navo ndikati I'm visually impaired. Zvamuri kutaura zvese handina kureceive that information sikutaura kwamuri kuita.
There I also faced some challenges Other one, I used to have a visitor almost every week. When I get to my door to start my work, my headmaster will be by the door. Madam Zazi, I'm your visitor today. But most of the teachers were not being visited. So I used to, to complete my work to teach my students whilst he was around. Maybe it was his first time to get a facilitator who is visually impaired, but we cannot blame him.
A key point raised is that persons with disabilities should have an inclusive quality on an equal basis with others in the communities in which they live.
Ndoitwa Agnes Memory Gurune, ndobva kuMasvingo, ndiri Human Resources Officer, Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Masvingo Provincial Office, ndobva ndoshandira. Toda kutenda Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education through Director Zinzombe neprogram yavakatisarudzirawo as people with disabilities. Tinotenda zvikuru kuti it's one of its kind, because I think inini kubva ndichipinda basa from 2011 handinambogara ndasangana neworkshop yakaita saiyoyi. Saka tinotenda kuti iyi workshop yati empower kuti tizive kuti tine marights edu as staff under the Ministry of Primary and Education, tine madisabilities kudaro. Vachitipawo maconditions okuti kana munhu ane albinism achiemployiwa under the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education asaisawo kuma areas ari hot ekuti anozokanganisika mukushanda kwake. Ndokunga tese tinoziva kuti albinism haidi mahot temperatures nema areas aya mamwe ekuti kunenge kune ma-insects akawanda anenge achiruma. Tinorawo pane mvura, pane magetsi pokuti shandewo zvakanaka. Saka tinotenda Public Service Commission kuti ma-guidelines avakagadzira anoita cater for people with albinism. Saka tinoda kufara nezvavari kutiitira.
Effective individualized support measures that are provided in environments that maximize academic and social development consistent with the goal of full inclusion.
Igama ngumsomi mlilo, ngingu deputy head Kami Prison Secondary School. Ngilapha eKwekwe besiqeda iworkshop lapho akade kulomhlangano obugoqela ababalisi abatshiyeneyo abakhubazekileyo. Injongo yomhlangano lo kuyikudingida izindaba eziphathelane lababalisi abakhubazekileyo lalabo abasebenza labo esingathi ngama-assistants kuyehle kuze kuyefika ebantwaneni abakhubazekileyo.
At this program, we're actually drafting a Bible, a manual toolkit, a policy, a disability policy to be used by learners and teachers with disabilities. This draft is going to actually feed into the already existing documents such as the National Disability Policy and the Constitution of Zimbabwe. We are trying to come up with ways on how persons with disabilities can be included in workplaces in relation to education.
Normally, in our Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, we always say our paramount concern is the learner or the child. But of late, our superiors have discovered that if we want to get the results that we desire with the child or with the learner, we also need to address concerns of staff. So this is why they've given us this opportunity to gather here and start addressing concerns of staff with disabilities.
Now this is one of a signature workshop that I've experienced in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. It's important arising from the fact that the participants who are here are actually people who are living with disabilities and are giving their testimonies about their experiences as practicing educators. Amongst them, we have teachers. Some of these teachers have graduated into deputy heads, and others are actually occupying the office of the schools inspectors and have grown in the system, and they are making a significant contribution to the education system.
As such, research has shown that investing in the education of people with disabilities is beneficial to the individual, communities, and to national economies.